Dance was my passion. I literally would pick my clothes, my shoes based on dance. My product was I was a safe black girl. I wasn't too much, but I was enough that I could fit in with the other white girls in a video.
Keep dropping these bombs on me. You just be name dropping people left and right. I'm like,
notes.
I have all these notes and you're just adding to them. Greetings and salutations. Welcome back to the WECT Digital Studio. I'm your host, Scott Pachilis, and today we'll be having a conversation with none other than one Stacey Harper Bell. Stacey, thank you for joining me today.
No problem. I'm excited to be here today.
Oh, no. Okay, so first off, we got to get this right out of the way.
Okay.
I need to let the viewers at home, they're already going to know how nervous I am. You already know how nervous I am.
Which is crazy.
Nope. And through the course of this interview, it'll become clear why I am so nervous and why this interview means so much to me personally. But you are a teacher right now and a teacher of first grade. And I want to, let's just start off with a little exercise where what would you say to a kid who in your class, we're about to take a test and you know they've studied for it, you know they know the material. The only thing that's going to get in their way is themselves, their own nervousness. What do you say to that kid? Because I need that advice right now.
Oh, well, I would tell them first just to shake the wiggles out. Get the wiggles out, get the nerves out, get everything going. Yeah. Make strange faces, make some weird noises, whatever you need to do to get it out. Then count backwards from 10 to calm it down and go. My favorite thing to say, I say it to my daughter all the time, is do your best and forget the rest.
All right.
That's all you can do.
Well, I wish I had that advice before I decided to stay up for the past 36 hours. And I probably haven't eaten anything in like the last 48 hours.
That's not good.
That's not good. That's not good.
That's not good.
But so I want to start back in. I want to take you back to 2016 because that's kind of where this all starts for me.
Okay.
Where I had been working here for a couple of years, and I must have been doing something one day where the 4 p.m. had come and gone, and someone said like, "Oh, did you hear so and so just had a Fran had a guest in who you might care about? She used to be in like a 90s girl group." I'm like, okay, what was the name of the group? And no one could tell me. And I was like, well, what was the name of the guest? It's Stacey Harper. I'm like, okay, look it up. And when I find out that it's Nobody's Angel, and I'm just like, and I look around in the newsroom like, y'all just going about your normal lives? Like we're not all collectively freaking out right now that Nobody's Angel was just like in this, like, no, I'm the only one? Okay. Like, I could not believe it. Like, it was like beyond belief. But like, because the reason that you were in, unfortunately, the reason that you were in the studio is
when Prince had passed?
That was when Prince passed, and yeah, so that was when Fran reached out to you, and because I didn't realize that you were, I'm learning so much about you. It's just during like preparation for this interview that, God, from like Nobody's Angel, that before that you were a backup dancer for Prince.
I was
wild.
I was a professional dancer in LA for 10 years. And worked with so many artists. When I went out to LA, I literally went out my parents gave me 2 weeks. I had flunked out of college the first time. Because I wanted to go to LA when I first graduated high school. My parents were like, you need an education. So I went to Temple University and I partied for 3 years. Got a little bit of an education.
That's everyone's story. That's fine.
Came back home and was like, I need to do this now. If I don't do it now, I'm never going to do it. And I felt that flunking out of school was God's way of telling me, go to LA and dance. Yes. So I went out. I was supposed to only go for 2 weeks and ended up staying 10 years. Went from sleeping on a friend's couch to getting a studio apartment to buying my first condo within those 10 years, and all from being a professional dancer. Wow. And when I went, I had 3 goals. I want to dance with Prince. I want to dance with Michael Jackson. I want to dance with Madonna. Made that goal with Prince.
Wow.
Came close to Michael Jackson. I was the last 3 girls for his You Rock My World video.
Love that video.
Auditioned for Madonna. I wasn't quite, what's the word do I say? Unique enough for Madonna.
Okay.
But I got to meet her. She came over, said she liked my dancing before she cut me. So I feel that I met those 3 goals.
See, and that's what
And within that 10 years, I was also in a girl group through Disney called Nobody's Angel.
See, that's what I'm talking about. You keep dropping these bombs on me of all the. You just be naming dropping people left and right. I'm like,
notes?
I have all these notes, and you're just adding to them. But,
well, I can talk.
yeah. But you know what? Before we even jumped ahead a little bit, because before we get to LA, I just wanted to just take a moment and introduce you to people and tell people who Stacey Harper Bell is, where you grew up,
Absolutely.
how you fell in love with dancing, with music, with singing. Saw that you were from Northern Virginia.
Yep,
I'm from
Herndon,
Baltimore.
Virginia.
So
Are you really?
yes, I am.
You're
So
DMV.
that's right.
Yes.
Shout out to all of our
DMV.
Beltway listeners out there. Yes. So just tell me about your childhood, how you fell in love with music and dance, and tell me what were you listening to as a kid that kicked off this passion for you in life.
I grew up in Northern Virginia, in Herndon, Virginia, and I have no recollection that doesn't have dance involved. According to my parents, they took me to a dance concert, and I got out of my seat and was dancing in the aisles. The ushers tried to make me sit down, and I wouldn't. So the next week, they took me to a dance class, and the people were like, oh, she's too young. She's not going to be able to focus. And my mom, who I get my strong will from, was like, look, let her try it. I'll pay for it, whatever. Let her try it. And I was in dance class ever since. Dance was my passion. I literally would pick my clothes, my shoes based on dance. I would be at Pachilis and my mom trying to get me shoes.
Yep.
And I'd be like, hold on, I've got to see if I can do a pirouette in them or if I can kick. Because my thing is, somebody could stop me on the street and be like, hey, I want you to be in this video. And if I can't dance in the shoes,
you have to be ready at a moment's notice.
I have to be ready.
Yes.
To my mother's annoyance, scratching up all the shoes. So I danced competitively growing up. I also went out in the summer and I did intensives at Boston Ballet. I did 2 years at Alvin Ailey. I did a year at Joffrey Ballet. So literally from 3 years old on, everything was about dance. My parents would punish me by making me not be able to watch Fame.
Yeah.
That's how much dance was my passion. Came on Thursday nights, and if I wasn't doing right in school or being disrespectful or something at home, you can't watch Fame, and I would lose it.
Gosh.
So I love dance. I used to sign my yearbook in high school as Stacey Harper, the dancer.
Yeah.
That's how hyper-focused, and I knew what I was going to do from an early age, and my life revolved around it.
Gosh. I had a somewhat similar thing with my parents where if I misbehave, I wasn't allowed to stay up to watch Making the Video on MTV. Because that would air at 9:30 or 10 o'clock at night, and it's just like, did you do your homework? Well, I'm like, well, I kind of want to watch that Britney Spears Making the Video right now.
Okay, but then you just age me, and I'm like, oh.
No.
But it's all good.
But that ages myself. I'm talking to people out there about Nobody's Angel, just blank stares. And I'm like, oh, well, because you weren't born yet.
You weren't born yet.
That's what happens when we hire people straight out of college.
But that was my childhood, and I loved every minute of it. Spent weekends at dance competitions. I learned early to be independent. I have 2 brothers, and my parents did not go to every competition. I would have 8 during the year, and they were like, pick one. Your brothers have things to do too. We have to support them. And they would give me money, and I would go with another family. So I learned young how to do my makeup, how to do my hair, make sure I had my costume, which was all great training when I did become a professional dancer.
Yes. because not everyone's gonna like. I think people assume that like, oh, once you break into the industry, all these like supplemental people are just
Nope.
like you have this team, and it's just like no.
Not when you are a professional dancer, you are moving background. That is what you are. It is all about the artist, making the artist look good, making the product look good, making the video look good, but you are expendable.
So what music are you listening to? Like, are you listening to Madonna growing
Now?
up, or growing
Well,
up? Like, what are
growing
your
up,
like?
I was huge Michael Jackson. I had that poster where he has like the Jerry curl, like almost like my hair is now, and he has the yellow bow tie. I think it was like a white suit, whatever. Michael Jackson was on my wall. I had like 3 or 4 posters of him, and I had dance posters. So I was a huge Michael Jackson person, and I like Prince music growing up as well. And I had a very eclectic, and I still do, musical taste. I mean, I would listen to Kenny Rogers. I would listen to Stevie Wonder. I mean, I love Reba McEntire. Couple of gospel songs in there too.
Yeah.
So I had a wide range of music that I liked growing up, and on my phone now, it's crazy. Anything from Hamilton to still have Prince on there.
Yes.
To what's that Tennessee whiskey? Well, I forgot the guy who sings that song. Herbie Hancock. So, and then there is rap music on my song that my daughter hates hearing me listen to. So I've always had a wide range of music that I love.
No, that's great because it gets so boring listening to the same genre over and over again.
Absolutely. And it also depends on your mood.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Your mood dictates. I can't start cleaning or washing the dishes until I've picked the perfect playlist. Like sometimes I need to, clean to 90s rap. I need Biggie in there to help me out. I need, I hate to say it, P. Diddy, in there. I need those songs to help me clean. Sometimes I need to cry with Reba about the man I lost while I'm vacuuming. So it depends on your mood.
No, I get that too. So for me, I live about like 10 minutes away from the station. Okay. So I don't really get the benefit of like these people that have long commutes and can like really get into like a good playlist
Especially
or something.
Back in DMV, like everything is 45 minutes away.
Yes. God, don't get me started on that. We won't talk about that. So I have this routine in the morning I'll listen to Breakfast Club radio podcast and whatever they're playing on like 97.3 if you're living in Wilmington. Or the Big Sick if you're in Fayetteville. Midday, I'll switch over to like alternative rock, 98.7 for those locals. And then at nighttime, I actually like the wind down with like the oldie station in town, 99.9, where it's just like, and they'll play anything where it's just like, give me Madonna, but then right after that, give me like Under the Boardwalk or something. Like give me something from the 60s, and that's my routine of like morning, afternoon, night.
I always ride home with Big B, 97.3. He always gets me home with the top 4 at 4. I got to listen to that so I can be current. I'm a 19-year-old, so I got to stay current and stay woke for her.
My wife works here so late that for me, it's the top 7 at 7. That's what I'm used to hearing at home. So, yeah. But, yeah.
Yeah. But in the morning, it depends on my mood. I have a Disney playlist, just Disney, like, love songs and stuff that gets me going. And then some mornings I have a gospel playlist that if I need a little, uplifting, and teaching first grade can be hard. So I need a little more power and grace and patience in the morning. I will put on my gospel playlist to get me ready for the day.
Yes. Got to get you through the day.
You got to do what you got to do.
Okay. So let's go to you moving to LA.
Okay.
And the time in between moving to LA and before Nobody's Angel. I mean, we hear so much, like, if you ever listen to any interview with, like, any celebrity and they talk about that journey, about, like, packing up everything they have and, like, whatever they have in their wallet, and that's, the clothes on their back. So why don't you just tell me, like what your journey was going to LA and, like, how much that rings true, and, like, maybe even advice you would have to, like, people that are listening to this podcast that have the same idea, have that same romantic notion of, like, man, when I graduate high school, I'm going to pack it all up and I'm going to head out west. Like,
Yeah.
we can talk about that for a second.
So my aunt at the time was an airline stewardess, and so I went to LA on a companion pass. Back then, you could, get a companion pass. I had to sit in the back. I had to be dressed up,
Okay.
And I left Dulles Airport with 2 bags. Again, I was supposed to go for 2 weeks to audition for a scholarship at a dance studio there. It's a year-long scholarship at this place called The Edge that helped train you into being a professional dancer. Not just with dance, it helped you get an agent, it talked to you about how to audition, things like that. So I went with the thought of, I'm going to take a week to dance there, and then I'm going to audition the second week. I remember landing in LA, and a gentleman from my studio, Adam, had already gone to LA 2 years before me, and was actually one of the backup Power Rangers. He did all the gymnastics tricks and stuff like that. And
Okay.
That was his journey.
Now you're speaking
LA.
my language. All right.
So he picked me up and he took me straight to the beach. And it was cool because it was like I went from coast to coast in a day and put my feet in the sand and was like, wow, I am here. And so I lived on Adam's couch for 2 weeks, got the audition, and was like, Mom, Dad, I'm not coming home. I won the scholarship. I get a year, to be at the studio and learn. We need to figure this out. So my parents gracefully said, all right, the money we had set aside for college, we'll give to you now. And that will be how you can start, to take care of yourself. That's the start. That gives you a year. So I was very blessed in that
I know.
aspect.
Still, shout out to Mom and Dad.
Absolutely.
That is a big ask.
That's a big ask. And, my parents are first generation college. And, my mom was a elementary school principal. My dad was an editor for the Department of Defense magazine. So your daughter's saying, oh, I want to move to LA and dance and be in music videos was so foreign to them. Because their road was high school, college, marriage in college, children, career.
Yeah.
So for them to be supportive, I was truly blessed. Not everybody gets that.
Wow.
I know that. I knew that then, and I know it now. And I keep that in mind with my own daughter, whose trajectory is totally different from mine. But they gave me money for a year, and I lived in a studio apartment. I had a bike. I had to ride 3 miles to dance. I would dance from 9 to maybe 7, 8 o'clock. Then ride my bike after dancing all day back to my apartment. Now to the studio, it was downhill. Back to my apartment was uphill.
At the end of the day, too.
I did that for 6 months, and then my mom had a midlife crisis and decided she wanted to give up her little suburban car and get a Miata. So they shipped out her Toyota Camry to me. Toyota Corolla, sorry. And so I finally had a car after 6 months, thank God.
Gosh.
But I did the scholarship. I learned so much. And at the end of the scholarship, I got signed to an agent. And my first audition, I was lost. I was intimidated. I was in there in my leotard and tights, and my hair was slicked back in a bun, and I was ready to dance. And all these people were in street clothes and heels and full makeup and hair done and earrings, and I looked like a baby.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, sweetie, no. And I luckily got taken in by some of the old heads who showed me how to show up for auditions.
Thankfully.
And I started booking jobs.
Yeah.
And I was lucky because I was able to start supporting myself as a professional dancer right away, where there were others that had to waitress, that had to work at the Gap, that had to do all these other jobs to supplement what they weren't when they weren't booking gigs to be able to pay for stuff. And I was able to book gigs right away and start paying for things And one of the things I say to people all the time was, I recognized early that it was a business. I wasn't just a dancer. I was a product, and I had to sell my product. And my product was, and this may sound crazy, but back then, and we're talking, 2000s, early 2000, my product was, I was a safe black girl. I wasn't too much, but I was enough that I could fit in with the other white girls in a video. I could be in a rock video, I could be in a rap video. I could do both. I had that look that was kind of safe, girl next door, pretty. I wasn't edgy. I was girl next door pretty. So I was good enough for a rock, alternative jobs, but I was also good enough for rap and any of those kind of more ethnic jobs that were available, which made me also then the perfect Disney girl.
Yes. So getting into Disney, because I think, well, okay, so before we jump into Nobody's Angel, so is there anyone other than
Who
Prince
did I
that
work
you,
with?
yeah, like,
So as a professional dancer, and I worked with, Britney Spears. I worked with Earth, Wind, and Fire. I worked with LL Cool J. I was part of the Pussycat Dolls before they got their album. So I went a different direction. I said Prince. I worked with, why can't I see their face? will.i.am, Black Eyed Peas, worked with them, worked with Backstreet Boys, worked with O-Town, worked with, there were a couple of rock bands. There was a director named McGee. He actually did the updated Charlie Angels movies.
Oh,
and
yeah.
before he did
I was
that,
gonna ask about
he did
that.
a lot of videos. And I was one of his black girls. And he paid my rent for it. Like, thank
Yeah.
you, McGee. He paid
Thank you,
my
McGee.
rent for a good year with videos. I worked with Smash Mouth and like that kind of genre of singers, doing their videos and stuff. And, I did a couple of tours. And then I did Coke commercials. I did 2 Coke commercials. I did, when Gap started, they went through a phase where they had like these dance. It was Gap Country, Gap Go-Go. It was like a really big thing for a while, the commercials.
Yes.
And I did Gap Go-Go and Gap Country commercials. So the commercials, that's your bread and butter. Because every time they show.
Yeah.
I did the Cinderella movie, the Cinderella with Brandy movie.
Yes.
I was
did
in
see
that.
pictures of that, yes.
Yes. I did, what was Charlie's Angels, of course. I did that. There's a couple of other movies. I can't remember everything. But
you've already name dropped
Sorry.
so much. Like,
I'm like, I don't remember all of it. I feel bad.
no, I mean, honestly, I feel like you've just listed, like, I could turn on TRL, and you just listed, like, half the lineup.
Can I say this? I'm going to brag about myself.
Okay, let's go.
There was a time when TRL was hitting it that I was, like, in 3 or 4 videos in the top 10 on TRL.
No. That show
seriously.
meant everything to
I
me,
would
and,
be
like,
like,
my entire
there
generation.
I am. Oop, there I am.
No
Now I
way.
tell my daughter that, and she's like, what is TRL? I'm like, get out my face.
Oh, you don't understand.
Your mama was hot, okay?
How much I wanted to go to New York just to stand in Times Square for like 5 hours just to give a shout out to a music video in a little corner box on the corner of the screen. That's what we tried to do back in the day.
The first time I went to TRL and went with Mystical, I was dancing with him.
Oh my God.
And that experience is cray.
Yes.
Another good experience, I danced on Saturday Night Live. And it's crazy how small. You would not believe how small the building is where Saturday Night Live is filmed. Like you were walking upstairs like this and down in the basement. I was there with LL Cool J, and I remember we were in the basement freezing. Like, it's Saturday Night Live. Where's the heat? Like, are you serious right now? I was able to perform at the Apollo. I worked with Snoop Dogg. He's hilarious. He is like. He's so funny. And Warren G. So a very wide range
Again,
of artists and things.
As eclectic as your Spotify is,
I know.
the amount of people that you've danced for.
I know.
The same.
It's
But
crazy.
No, so that's so like my like biggest passion in life is like television and like TV history and stuff. So I love SNL with like a passion. So all those like behind the scenes things and what you see. What I love the most is seeing what happens during the show when it's on commercial break and you just see a million people get pulled a million different ways.
I'll tell
Sets come up
you,
and down. Performers go in and out.
I danced on the Academy Awards twice. Sorry, once when Colors of the Wind was nominated, and once with Bryan Adams, Do You Really Love a Woman? And the behind the scenes for that, like seeing the celebrities, like when he went to commercial, and they're like in their chairs, it's all nice, and in the commercial, and they're like, I need a meat! Like, and these like thousands of dollars of gowns and stuff, that kind of stuff.
And
is
the era
hilarious.
before cell phones, where they couldn't just distract themselves.
You know, dancing at the Grammys and American Music Awards. I've danced at the MTV Awards with Usher. That seeing all that kind of stuff backstage, the productions and things like that. It is really cool, and I think people take for granted when they see performances on stage. They don't realize the work that goes into it.
Yeah. Well, I think so. You know what? Perfect time. We're gonna transition, guys, to Nobody's Angel. But
Nobody's Angel.
Like I said, I've been waiting for this for a long time.
Bring it.
So if we're gonna do it, we're gonna do it right.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So 1 and 2. And 1 last 3.
Oh my!
What's up, everybody? Welcome to this podcast within a podcast. That's right, I am hijacking my own show to bring the people what they've been waiting for all this time. The first ever episode of the totally official, well, not really official, Nobody's Angel Fancast with founding member Stacey Harper Bell.
Let me tell you something funny about this picture.
Go.
If I don't give my all, they're not going to put their all behind me. No matter that we're in this small room and this small studio and platform heels, but I have to go full out. That's the only way to make it happen. I remember being in Utah. I can't remember where we were in Utah, but everybody passed by me. They hit all 3 of the girls, and they passed by me. And I remember sitting there going, don't cry. Like, whatever you do, don't cry. The producer of Boy Meets World was going to be the producer of our TV show, and it never happened because our manager got too greedy, which is something we do need to talk about when we talk about music artists and contracts.